the first thing that I want to talk about is reviewing tests. One thing about the LSAT is that it's a standardized test. So they're going to test the same things over and over and over again, right? It's not really a knowledge-based test. It's not like you have to learn dates or things like that. But they are testing certain skills, your ability to make logical inferences. That's the main one, by far. That's tested in all 3 sections. Let's give you some information and figure out what you can correctly infer from that information, right? And because of this standardization, if you take a test, like for example, you took test 72 on Saturday, right? At least most of us did. If you take that test and then you review it and you get to the point where you understand everything about that test, you are going to understand 95% of the next test you take, right? The biggest mistake that people make is that they don't review enough. They end up doing too many questions and not enough review. So what happens on a typical test? You're going through the test, you get to like say question 13, right? And you read the passage, you're like, okay, whatever, that makes sense. You go through the answer choices, you get rid of answer choice A, you get rid of answer choice B, you're like, these are horrible answers, this is stupid. C, C sounds pretty good, maybe that's the answer. You get rid of answer choice D, and then you're looking at answer choice E, and you're like, answer choice E sounds kind of good too. Did this happen to anyone?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty common thing on this test. Now, the unfortunate consequence, though, is that you have a limited time, and so if you can't decide between the two, you review the question, you read the passage again, you're like, yeah, I still don't know. They both seem pretty good. Here's a reason for C, here's a reason for E. You go ahead and you pick E. Let's say you pick E. You finish the section, you finish the test, then you grade it, and let's say you got question 13 correct. It was E after all. What happens with that question in your life?
It's forgotten.
Yeah, nothing. There was a moment where you came close to understanding some logical principle or rule that the test writers follow, right? You were down to the wire. There's something that pushes one answer choice over the other. And now you're never going to look at that again because, hey, you got it right. Now, the odd thing is, though, that even when we get those questions wrong, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. Sometimes we choose E, that's wrong, it's wrong. So then you're like, okay, what happened with question 13? Some people don't even go to question 13, right? They just like, got my score. Now I know where I'm at. Let's take another test. No, that's not helpful. You go back and you start reviewing 13 because you got it wrong, and lo and behold, you realize that the correct answer is?
E.
Well, you chose E.
And that's C, my bad, yeah.
Yeah, it turns out to be C. And you know what you say to yourself? You guys know what you're going to say to yourselves? Did you guys say this to yourselves this weekend? There's damn, there's that. What else is there?
You go, oh, I get it now.
Oh, I get it now. I knew it was C. Sure you did. Now, this is so common. It happens to me, like I do tutoring during the day, I do class at night. I hear this all the time. Oh, yeah, it was C. Yeah, no, I knew it was C. I don't know why I chose E. I knew it. I'm like, okay, so why is it C? Well, you guys know what the next response is? Can you guess what you might say?
I don't know.
It's a better answer.
I don't know would be great, actually. Who said that? That would be awesome. But that's not what we say to ourselves. We say, oh, no. Yeah, it makes sense. C is a better answer than E. Really? Cool. Why? Well, it says usually. Usually, that's kind of a strong word. Usually. E says tends to. That means the same thing. We have not made any progress as of yet, right? We need to dig into these answers that we're not sure about and figure out why the right answer is right and at least why the one we chose is wrong, or at least the one we were tempted by. And there is always a concrete reason. If you feel like, Oh, yeah, okay. I could see why someone would think C is better than E, but I think that's a subjective thing. It's a thing to think that. A lot of people think that this test is subjective, at least in some cases. But when you really flesh it all out, hardly anyone is like, I still think my answer is better. When you break it all down, they're like, yeah, okay. C is a better answer, and here's why. So we got to get to that point. You got to stop deceiving yourself. You're lying to yourself. Now, you're not doing it intentionally. You're not a bad guy. You're not a pathological liar, like some people on Twitter. I can't think of any examples right now, but I imagine there could be some lies on Twitter, right? One or two, every 3 months. But we are deceiving ourselves when we think we get it and we actually don't. So I hope I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to say, hey, this is bad. There's things that I don't get too, right? And so what we have to do is just be really open to digging in and trying to learn as much as we can, even when we get the answer right. A lot of it comes down to whether you think you have something to learn here or not. And that may be more of a subconscious thought than a conscious one. Some studies have been done on people who have a growth mindset versus people who have a fixed mindset. Has anyone heard of these phrases? Yeah. If you have a growth mindset, once you're told the correct answer to a certain question, your mind keeps firing. If you have a fixed mindset, as soon as you're told the answer to a question, your mind stops firing. Again, more fMRI scans, right? All this stuff we can learn from these fMRI scans. But in any case, the bottom line here is when you take a test, you put your scores into the score tracker. I hope you saw that. You have the opportunity to mark questions as unsure or T. U is unsure. T is you ran out of time. Does that ring a bell? Okay. And before you get to the graded answers, you have the opportunity to look and see, you have the opportunity to redo the questions you weren't sure about and to finish the questions you didn't have time to get to. So to the extent you can take that time, do so, right? That's going to be more useful than moving on to new things. Okay? All right, any questions about reviewing? If you ever have any questions about anything, you watch the video online, and you're like, hey, the video's not good enough for me. First of all, vote it down. Second of all, email me and tell me what you're thinking. Like, how is it inadequate, right? And I'll try to clarify because I want you guys to figure out those rules. Once you know those rules, you can get logical reasoning to be a section where you get 0 wrong. It's not subjective anymore. You're like, yeah, I see exactly why these things are right and why they're wrong. Yeah. Also, if a video is good, vote it up. That way we know which ones to keep. Okay, so that's that. Any questions? Okay?